and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. India's space agency, ISRO, has added another historic first to its record books with the successful launch of the Bluebird Block-2 communication satellite, the heaviest payload ever lifted from Indian soil using an Indian launcher. The mission is being seen as a turning point for ISRO's commercial, technological and strategic space capabilities. The mission lays critical groundwork for India's next big leap in spaceflight. The success of LVM3 in carrying its heaviest payload yet boosts conflict. The launch is also significant for ISRO as the Bluebird Block-2, weighing 6,100 kgs, is the heaviest payload ever placed into the low Earth orbit by the space agency's LVM3 rocket. The previous record was held by the LVM3 M5 communication satellite 03, which weighed around 4,400 kgs and was successfully launched by ISRO on 2nd of November into the geosynchronous transfer orbit. Let's open up this discussion. This is a massive feat. Why is it a massive feat? And what is the future of the commercial arm of ISRO in the global sphere of things? Let's open up. Let's speak to our panelists. Joining me on the telecast is Dr. Surendra Pal. He is the former director of ISRO. Dr. Surendra Pal, this is a massive milestone for India, for ISRO, for our space ecosystem on so many levels. Yes, it goes on and testifies our technical know-how and prowess. It is also a US satellite, a payload that has been launched into the low orbit by ISRO, by ISRO launch vehicle, but also talking about how there are countries across the world, including developed economies, which are looking at India for a cost-effective way of sending their payloads into the Earth's orbit. Dr. Surendra Pal, can you hear me? Okay, while we come back to Dr. Surendra Pal, there seems to be another issue. I'm also being joined by Dr. P.K. Ghosh. He's a space scientist. Dr. Ghosh, the same question to you about this transformation, the way the world looks at India, particularly in the space technology, which is second to none. How does this chart the way for India to become a global space power?
Good evening. I think this is a very significant step because India is sending a message to the entire world. Now, you must realize that firstly, of course, the fact that the Bluebird 2 is one of the heaviest satellites to come up to the LEO, about 520 kilometers above or so. It achieved 519 or so, which was a textbook launch today. But the message which India is sending to the world is that, look, we are reliable. LVM3 has one of the least unsuccessful attempts made. So the failures have been minimal. And not only that, everybody knows that ISRO sends some of the cheapest, from economic point of view, satellites to space. That is, the cost of sending a satellite to space by ISRO is one of the cheapest. When you contact and you compare with, let's say, SpaceX or any of the private agencies, you'll see that their prices are much more higher. So, in effect, what more do you need for commercial? You need a reliable launch, you need a technological prowess, and thirdly, you need it to be economical. And that's what ISRO is. So I would say hats off to ISRO on this regard. So all the entities, that is the various smaller countries, the various universities, think tanks, etc., whoever wants to send satellites to space, be it in LEO or even in geosynchronous orbits. India is there and we are
Right.
reliable. So that is a very big thing. And then the other aspect, as far as Bluebird is concerned, is if you notice, just five Bluebird satellites by ATS were sent last year in September. But now they have chosen who? They have chosen ISRO to send it. It was mainly for the US consumers that ATS had sent the previous satellite.
Okay.
But now the
Okay,
block 2
okay,
which has
all right,
come,
all right, all right. So,
it's
so of course, those are the huge benefits. Talking about our Chandrayaan mission that was lauded all across the globe, again at 1/8 the cost of a mission like this that could be achieved successfully by NASA or by European Space Agency or JAXA. So you know that India became front and center as the global space ecosystem for countries all across the globe to come to India, utilize its commercial space arm and allow for their space activities to be achieved successfully. Also, let me come back to Dr. Surendra Pal, if you can hear me. Dr. Pal, again, a response from you with regards to how India's journey as a space global power is, and especially this particular milestone that has been achieved, is going to help in our successful aim towards launching the Gaganyaan mission.
Okay, thank you very much. There was some problem with the internet. However, I agree with Dr. Ghosh, what all he told about the economics of the launch vehicle. Now, let me come to the technical aspects. First is our launch pad and the integration facilities are the best today in the world. I won't say it's a second or it's N par. They are the best. We have put the latest things for integration purposes. Our clean rooms are of the highest quality, and that makes a difference. Second thing is economically, as Dr. Ghosh told, we are cheaper. Third thing is that when we launch a spacecraft, we put into the orbit properly and we track it with our own network and then hand over to the agency whosoever is controlling it. And we have a hand holding till the last moment, if till it's an injection into the orbit. That's one thing. Now, as far as this particular LMV3 is concerned, see, most of its systems, I must say 99% of the systems except few, are of human rating. So it's a forerunner for us for Gaganyaan, that we have to see it. So that way it's quite reliable. Now, if we come to the rocket itself, our S200, it's a wonderful strap-on, two strap-on, so we call it first stage. Then the center stage, which is a Vikas engine. Vikram Ambalal Sarabhai is the name for the engine. Vikas is the short name. So that's an engine which a new capability has been put. It can be ignited, it can be switched off, and the capacity has been increased. The last stage is CS25, which provides a final input to the ISP, which is highest. 350 to 400 ISP is there. So that puts it into the orbit. Now we can do a maneuver. See, we can start the engine, we can shut off the engine, both when we talk about the liquid stage or the second stage, or with CS125, or earlier I said, we call it L110. Now, putting all this together, plus a closed loop control, okay, which is almost in everywhere, but we provided triple redundancy in this one. So all these things, sensors for everything, the gyros, etc., which we are using is of the finest quality, and we are using the most of the time optical gyros in both here and other places. So I must say it's the most reliable vehicle. And if you see, there are 6 launches. All launches have been quite successful. So as far as LMB3 is concerned, we did not have any failure, and we are going on improving on it. So next launch will be also prove to it that yes, we can go for human rating. And when we do some of the Gaganyaan dry runs, means we will put a humanoid inside and stimulate the total Gaganyaan, launch with the same thing, then we will further prove it. So whosoever wants to come, we are economically,
Okay.
cheaper,
All right.
and
Yeah,
we
yeah,
are quite
absolutely,
efficient.
absolutely. As was told by Dr. P.K. Ghosh, we are giving a run for their money to the private space giants like SpaceX. So that's saying something about India's space capabilities. Group Captain Dr. Vienja, talking about, I do want to speak about the future, and particularly this enormous, gigantic dream, the goal for India now in the coming years is going to be the Gaganyaan mission. How do you think this successful milestone that has been achieved today of putting the heaviest satellite, 6600 kg payload into the low orbit of the earth, how does this translate into the world perceiving India's capabilities to be able to successfully launch the Gaganyaan mission?
The crew are well known to us. I will have very high confidence in going in the LMV because we had GSLV-3, I think it was F10, which had failed in August 21. There was an element of dot cropping in whether the same GSLV will be going for Gaganyaan. But now LMV, which is by and large the same version of the GSLV-3 with some value additions and the improvement in the technologies and the guidance system. This gives us a very high confidence that all 6 LMVs have been successful in their launch, no failure, no problem, and all launches have been absolutely copybook style. So there is absolutely no going back onto that aspect. But as far as the Gaganyaan mission is concerned, when it was announced by Prime Minister Modi in 2019, we were slightly skeptical at that time because I, being from the from the life sciences, I had a look into the initial running to the Gaganyaan at our Institute of Aerospace Medicine when all these pilots were going to be selected and the training procedure was going to be done there. So I had a slight skeptical view how this rocket GSLV, which is not human rated, will go for launch. And I had written a chapter 2 in my book, onto the same subject. So ISRO has come out there, the Institute of Aerospace Medicine, Indian Air Force, all of them, they are in the core committee, which has seen Gaganyaan mature with the technology, with no chances being taken up on the safety aspects for the astronauts. So it is going on there. I'm not sure whether uncrewed 2 or 3 missions are required. To my understanding, possibly one uncrewed mission would have been good enough to give the confidence that yes, all the systems are working. Okay. But I suppose the life support system, what is in the crew system, is not tested as yet. It is indigenous, so they need a couple of dry run to go on the uncrewed mission. Okay. Now, coming back, can I have another 1 minute?
Sir, I'll just come back to you. Let me go to Wing Commander Sudhakaran, who's also part of our panel. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, it's very, I mean, one is also curious. The fact that all these countries from United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, a number of Asian countries, Middle Eastern countries, even Israel, they come to India, reach out to ISRO for launching of several of their satellites into the Earth's orbit. What is the cost at which ISRO launches a satellite into the Earth's orbit as compared to private space entities like SpaceX?
See, India today has a world-class launch vehicle capability. Already my co-panelists have echoed those sentiments. Dr. Pal specifically has covered it in extensive detail. The reliability aspect has also been covered. The problem with India is not with the space capability in terms of able to launch a payload. What we are lacking today is, do we have command over the payload itself? And that is a point that I would like to stress here. While we are cheap, we can do anything better than anyone else, because that is what India is meant to be. Mind you, India is not only an aspirational superpower, we are already in the top 3 league. We are just in the top 3 league. China is going to dethrone US anytime from the #1 position. It is just only a matter of time. The question is, do you want to be in #3 or do you want to go to the #2 stage? If you want to go ahead, first surpass US, it is not about what you have achieved in terms of these rockets and things like that. At that position, it is about what your vulnerabilities are, what you have not achieved, what your gaps are, where you are dependent. And that is very important. And the missing layer today is India's achievement in launch capability, be it the PSLV class of vehicles or the GSLV class of vehicles, no doubt. But please understand, payloads define the future. They define data ownership, they define signal control, they define intelligence generation, and they define strategic leverage. A rocket without a sovereign payload control is just like a transport service. And if you are into service business, you can't lead the world. Why gateway? I was very concerned by the understanding given by the government, even while I was there in Delhi during your conclave, that India is thinking it is good enough to have the gateway in this country. But today it is not about the payload being transported. Please understand, Musk needs Grok to be trained, and your data can be trained in-house. Very well, your gateway will be here. But what they are doing is how they can train their future AI cognitive models, and I don't think India is prepared for that. And that is our gap. That is where we need to address, so that we have covered it, all ends up.
Okay, all right. Coming to you, Dr. Surendra Pal, that's an important point that has been, it's interesting the way Wing Commander Sudhakaran has put it. Is it more significant, and how long do you think India will have to undertake a journey to be able to build these payloads?
See, first of all, as far as payloads are concerned, we have made, as far as you see in this present Bluebird satellite, there is a large phased array. We have got a technologies of phased arrays both in ISRO and DRDO, and we have proved it. And we have made the satellites which have got multi-beam satellites, but not of this class, not of this type. I think earlier panelist has talked about the control on the data, means which we provide the gateway to Elon Musk, etc., which was going on. I don't know what decision government has taken. Similarly, if Bluebird operations come, when it fully, there is a constellation is completed, and we have got to think on the India also, then the gateway we have to have a control. What he told is correct. As a citizen, I also would like to see that we should not be getting exploited, and our data should not be, because data has become the money. Not only this, data has become the money because of the social media and other things which will improve further. There can be a problem for the country's security. So that I agree, but I am not an expert on this one. Technologically, we have got all the things. If tomorrow ISRO decides or the country decides, we can have a satellite of this sort of thing.
Okay.
But these satellite technologies are slightly more complex, and because it's in low Earth orbit, Doppler compensation is a very big problem, for which there has to be a system on the ground. And although they say you can get it through the mobile, but I am sure for that one also some more things have to be added to the mobile. It may not be directly for it.
All right,
Thank
sir.
you.
All right. Dr. P.K. Ghosh, quickly a response from you with regards to where you see India moving ahead, particularly talking about, when you talk about global space wars, are we inching closer to where China stands, or even United States of America?
Yes, in a way, we have to really buck up, to use a slang term, and we have got to increase the number of commercial launches drastically. just to give you an estimate, I think this year in the beginning we had 100th launch, which was a very big thing. And mind you, most of the technologies that we have got, including that of the cryogenic engine, is actually in-house. The Russians didn't give it to us. Now, we had the 100th launch. Now, if you just compare with some of the private agencies or even with, our so-called competitor China, they have almost 50 to 60 launches per year. For example, the SpaceX has got launches to the tune of 60, 65 launches per year. Now, you see the comparison. So we have a lot of catching up to do. But this should not deter us.
Yeah.
Our scientists are very capable, and I know that given the current scenario, we will come up and we will become one of the, if not number 3, as was mentioned by Wing Commander Sudhakaran, we will go up to number 2, and I'm very confident that our scientists are capable of doing that.
Okay, all right. Group Captain Jha, quickly a response of you. On an average, how many satellites are indigenous satellites being launched by India from its shores, and what is the potential that we will be able to easily achieve?
Well, by launching the number of the satellite, you can count. I think it is about 380 odd satellite or 385 that has been launched from Indian grounds through our launches. So that is not the criteria. Criteria here today we are talking of is it is our LVM which is taken the foreign satellite on a commercial venture. That satellite will be having its own control and technologies that USA has built up. They will be covering their own, G4, G5, G6, whatever comes there for their communication systems. It will be their lookout. But India has only given its launcher to launch that particular satellite into the orbit at a given, parameters. Mostly we are very interested about the inclination as well as the speed in the orbit injections. So these two have been absolutely perfect. So we are confident of our technology. One more thing, value addition that ISRO has done in this particular launch is they have added something into the 2 solid boosters, strap-on, which will be helpful in the human Gaganyaan mission,
Yeah.
which will be giving some input there in that. So that is one value addition that they have given. But otherwise, it is only our GSLV Mark III modified LVM that has gone from here. It is one more success story in their, one more feather in their cap. So that is where it is there.
Okay. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, here on, how can the Indian commercial private space sector be opened up so that they not just send payloads through their private launchers into space, but also build their own payloads, build their own satellites for fulfilling various criteria, various requirements that the country may have?
See, I wouldn't say, as I told you, we have learned how to go to the space, but we need to know how to use that space, how to play well. It is not enough that you reach the cricket ground in time. You need to bat well, you need to bowl well, you need to field well, and you need to win the cup for yourself. That is what I would like to say. So you need to know how to use the space well, and for that, the payload aspect is critical. When I say payload, I'm not merely talking about the radars or the hardware associated with it. The whole game is today in the software aspect of it, wherein today it has become cognitive space everywhere. In fact, the cyber, the space, everything is going to be consumed by this new beast of cognitive intelligence, which is going to swarm across. How do you control it? Today, your policy and your governance, you are sitting easy, thinking that a gateway in the Earth station is good enough. No, it is not good enough.
Okay.
You will be killed from within, and that is something that the policymakers need to understand.
Okay, fair enough. But then here, leaving on a positive note, this is an achievement, no small feat. There at this point of time is 3% of India's yearly budget is allocated for space missions such as this. Can this budget be increased to allow for greater momentum be built for India truly becoming a global space power? I leave it at that. Thanks for watching NewsX.